All right, welcome to the JP8 report. This is James Pierce with the JP8 report, episode 435. Oyster boy gets shot. Okay, to be truthful, I did not know what shucking and oysters had in common until my buddy Scott Scray out in Martinsburg, West Virginia, sent me a text yesterday and was telling me about it. So, hats off. I know Scott's probably going to be watching this. Um, Evidently, I woke him up a few minutes ago, but that's another story. But yeah, shucking is how you open up an oyster. Yeah, okay. And before we get into everything, and I'll be signing off about 8:50 this morning, okay? Because I got morning breakfast down the road. But so Oyster Boy got shucked. Okay, so to shuck an oyster safely, you wrap it in a folded kitchen towel, cut side down with the hinge facing you. Insert oyster knife, whatever that is, into the hinge. Twist until it pops, and scrape the blade along the side of the top shell to detach the muscle. That's shucking an oyster. Okay, I'll never do that. I don't think I will ever do that. That was crazy. Okay. Oh my goodness, man. Let me get back here. Alrighty, man, come on. There we go. Let me get all set up here. So Scott, thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate that. I got to get set up for the raid at 8:50, so I can raid over for everybody. Copy. Okay, I'm all set. All right, so welcome to the JP8 report. If you're watching this and you've never been click that follow button, the way you get to it is right beside where you see the JP8 report. You'll see a little bell. Click the bell and go down, and you'll see the word follow. Click the follow, and you'll always be you'll be a follower of the JP8 report. And then please, next to it is a like button, the thumbs up. Click that. And I explained it earlier. Anytime I go to a podcast channel I like, I always give it a thumbs up. Every single one of them, whether it be Chad Prather, Vince, Dan Bongino, Graham Allen, Haley Carnia, or even Todd Spears. If I go to one, I always give them a like. That gives them the respect of doing their podcast, which is awesome. It's a great gesture. And if they screw up and you really, really don't like it, you can go back and change it and make it a thumbs down, right? Matter of fact, Graham Allen made a game out of it a couple months ago. But please get in there, hit that thumbs up button. That's an awesome thing to do, and I would really appreciate it, okay? All right, so America 250. I have a quick thing here. It's from John Adams, Abigail Adams, okay? It's dated the 10th of July, 1776. You will see by the newspapers, which I from time to time enclose, with what rapidity the colonies proceed in their political maneuvers. How many calamities might have been avoided if these measures had been taken 12 months ago, or even no longer than the last December. The colonies in the South are pursuing the same maxims which are herefore to govern those to the North. In constituting their new governments, their plans are remarkably popular, more than I could have ever imagined, even more popular than the thoughts on government, which was an article he wrote, okay? I did put it out on here several months ago. And in the choice of their rulers, capacity, spirit, and zeal in the cause supplied the place of fortune, family, and every other consideration which used to have weight with mankind. My friend Archibald Bullock, Esquire, is governor of Georgia. John Rutledge, Esquire, is the governor of South Carolina. Patrick Henry, Esquire, is the governor of Virginia. And Dr. Franklin will be the governor of Pennsylvania. The new members of this city all are all in this taste chosen because of their inflexible zeal for independence. All the old members left out because they opposed independence, or at least were lukewarm about it. Dickinson, Morris, Allen, all fallen. Like grass before the scythe, notwithstanding all their vast advantages in point of fortune, family, and abilities. I am inclined to think, however, and to wish that these gentlemen may be restored at a fresh election, because although mistaken in some points, they are all good characters, and are all great wealth and numerous connections will contribute and strengthen America and submit their union. I wish I were perfect liberty, or portray before you all those characters in their genuine lights, and to explain to you the course of their political changes in this province. It would give you a great idea of the spirit and resolution of the people, and show you, in a striking point of view, the deep roots of American independence in all the colonies. But it is not prudent to commit to writing such free speculations in these present state of things. Time which takes away the veil may lay open the secret springs of the surprising revolution. But I find, although the colonies have differed in religion, laws, customs, and manners, yet the great essentials of society and government, they are all alike. John Adams. That's an awesome letter that he wrote to his wife. All right. So, onward to the armament shop. All right. So, whether you're looking for your first firearm, upgrading your setup, or need expert service, Jason at the Armament Shop is Copper's Cove's premier source for all things shooting. Browse a wide selection of pistols, rifles, and shotguns, backed by top-tier gunsmithing for repairs, along with reloading supplies and professional cleaning to keep your firearm in peak condition. Need a transfer? We make FFL transfers fast, easy, and affordable. Need your CHL? Jason can handle those classes both online and in person. He has over 3 decades of experience. Visit the Armament Shop today at 115A West Avenue D in Coppers Cove, or call or text 254-560-2023, or visit www.armamentshop.com. That's www.armamentshop.com. The Armament Shop, your safety, our priority. All right. So, thank you very much for tuning in today. And don't forget to hit that like button, please, okay? And follow if you don't mind. I would appreciate that. That'd be great. And then chat. Chat, I don't see no one in the chat right now besides me. I'm going to start us off right. I'm going to put American flag in there, because I'm proud to be an American. There we go. If you're proud to be an American, put American flag in the chat or in the comment section, okay? All right. So the Iran update. The Ayatollah Khomeini officially is buried at Imam Reza Shrine in Mashhad, Iran. Talks will resume tomorrow. That was announced yesterday. That's wow. Israeli intelligence was shared with the U.S. about a plot against President Trump. CENTCOM, that's Central Command, says the IRGC does not control the Strait of Hormuz. Iran rejects that motion. Iran is sadly wrong, okay? Israel and Lebanon, their peace talks are still ongoing and are approaching the implementation phase of their agreement. That's bad news for Hezbollah, okay? Like I said earlier, Hezbollah could go to Iran and join Khomeini at his burial spot. The Gulf Cooperative Council, that's a combination of Arab states around the Arabian Peninsula, condemns Iran's attack on the Strait of Hormuz the other day. And dozens of Iranian drones and missiles were intercepted yesterday. All right. The Dow Jones closed up 139.02 points to 52,847.41, and it opens up 19 minutes from now. West Texas Intermediate is trading at $72.64 a barrel, and Brent crude oil is at $76.98 a barrel. Okay, that is your Rand update. All right, stay tuned. I'm going to go over just a few announcements. In about a minute, we'll be with the JP8 report, okay? So, Copper's Cove Conservative Club. That's the group I helped found right here in Copper's Cove. We have a social dinner on the 14th of July at 6 p.m. in Copper's Cove at Giovanni's. Please come. You will enjoy yourself, all right? All right, next, we have Pints and Politics in Killeen on the 16th of July. That's 2 days later, at the Area 254 in Killeen at 6 p.m. Area 254 is located on South Fort Hood Street in the old Kmart shopping center where Raising Cane's is. So when you go into that shopping center, on the right, you'll see Area 254. It's a huge gaming room for families. You go in, turn right, go to the staircase, go upstairs to the upper room. That's where they're all meeting at. All right. The next is Smoking Hot Conservatives. They meet on the 25th, on the 20th of July at the Leaf Affair at 4110 South Clear Creek Road in Killeen at 6 p.m. If you like cigars, the Leaf Affair is the place to go, especially if you're a conservative. They hang out for a couple hours and smoke cigars. All right. Next is Coryell County Republican Women. They have a meeting at 11 a.m. on Saturday, the 25th of July at 1802 Martin Luther King Drive in Copper's Cove. That's Trinity Worship Center. They're going to have Dr. Mark Fulmer there. He's going to be speaking on the geopolitical implications in the greater context of the red-green axis, which is Islamicism. All right? Just so you know. All right? Keep us honest. And then on the 28th of July, I don't have a graphic for it yet, is the Coryell County Republican Party, and we are going to be meeting. I think we're meeting at the Trinity Worship Center also. Okay, but I can't remember. But we should have a graphic on it by next week. All right. So that's your announcements. Onward to the JP8 report, because we are going to run out of time. I will tell you right now. See, look, Scott Scray's in there. Hey, I'm going to put a good morning in there for Scott. One of my great friends. I've known him for over 20 years. I met Scott, I think, in 2003. Man, I think, Scott, I think it's been since 2003. You and Carrie and Jillian started hanging out with us at EBT. I think it was in 2003 or 2002. It could have been also. Wow. Great to see you, man. Welcome to Rumble. All right. So here we go. The JP8 report. So the first thing I wanted to bring up, and this is before we talk about Oyster Boy there. So Israeli Um, the Israelis gave the U.S. some intelligence a few weeks ago. Evidently, the Iranians were looking to hatch a plot against our president. That's bad news. I consider that an act of war. They are so fortunate President Trump didn't just do 90 attacks on them the other night. I would have probably tripled it and probably leveled Tehran. But that's a whole other story. I'm not the president. Okay, I'm just a reporter, an opinionist in free Podcastistan. Okay, because I know what I'm talking about. Israel. Well, let's put it like this. Back in the early 90s, and I believe it was 93, after President Clinton was elected president and sworn in, uh, the CIA gave him intel that Saddam Hussein was trying to assassinate former President George H.W. Bush. President Clinton caught wind of it, and they launched, I think it was like close to 200 Tomahawk missiles into Baghdad. That's the stuff that needs to happen. You threaten our president, we teach you not to threaten our president, because it's a fine line between threatening and carrying out. And we have to make sure they learn that lesson, that they never, ever try to do something like that to us ever again. I'm telling you, I would put MEPs, those huge bunker busting bombs, I would drop 10 of them wherever they think the IRGC headquarters are. And because that's the problem with Iran. It's not Khomeini. It's not the spiritual leader, because I think they might have learned a lesson to a point. It's the IRGC that refuses to give up control on Iran. If I'm wrong, people tell me I'm wrong. But the IRGC, the military leadership in Iran, holds the power to that country, and they refuse to let go. It's that power and that pride they have. They're nothing like Cyrus was back in the Bible times in Iran and Persia, right? These guys are evil. Just like the president said, they're evil. So they have to be dealt with. They need to be taught a lesson that they will never make an attempt or even talk about making an attempt on the president ever again. They need to be taught a lesson they will never, ever forget, right? Just, what is it, in the movie Iron Eagle, when Mr. Masters, he goes, Libya is about to lose 200 million in oil, and he went and bombed one of the big oil refinery storage tanks. Just like that. Take them out, right? So that's it. And that's why the president the other day, you saw him getting on the old Air Force One, SAM 3000, SAM 30,000, 30,000. That's the reason why they did that, is so if they were looking to take out the new Air Force One, the one with the awesome paint job on it, they were thinking the POTUS might have been on it and he had been on the other one, right? Because they made the excuse like, why are you getting that? And that gave up the game right there. Why aren't you riding back on the new Air Force One? Well, matter of fact, Air Force One is the designation of the plane the president's getting on. The plane isn't called Air Force One beforehand. So we're talking about the new jumbo jet in the service fleet, right? And the president said, "Oh, we sent it off to Europe so the service members can take a look at what we have and see the improvements we made on the plane." Right? Well, needless to say, it ended up in London. The old SAM 3000 or 30,000 or SAM 29,000 ended up in London with the president on board, and they changed the planes out. So, they're shuffling the shells to keep people know, like with the HMX. You never know which helicopter the president is on, because they always fly in multiples of 3, right? You never know which one it is. It's to keep the president and his staff safe, right? Because the first thing that's the most important thing in our government is continuity. and you want to do everything possible to protect the life of the president, right? Because needless to say, if they took a shot at him, it's game over. I mean, you may be anti-war all you want, but what should happen is that you should have that patriotism to you, like that an attack on our president is an attack on our country, and that regardless if you're Democrat or Republican, an attack on our president or a threat on our president is a threat on all of us, and we should always take that serious. And if you know someone that works for the U.S. Secret Service, you ought to thank them for protecting these guys, okay? The president and any of the principals, they get protection from them. You ought to thank them, all right? They're worth every single penny they earn, all right? So let's go. Next, Oyster Boy, he got shucked. All right. So sorry about that. That was a cough drop. I hope y'all like the tumbler I got. I got it from Blackout Coffee. I love that. 1776. Yeah. So Graham Plattner the other day, whom I call Oyster Boy, he said he's going to end his run for the United States Senate. But as of right now, he still has not dropped his name off the ballot. He has until Monday evening at 5 p.m. Eastern to take his name off the ballot off the Democrat Party. And after that, they're going to do an undemocratic process of putting a 600-person convention together to select a new nominee to run for the U.S. Senate against Senator Susan Collins, right? And she's going to win anyway. So I don't know. Why don't they just impromptu put these people on a ballot and then let them vote it out? That would be the democratic way of doing things, not the authoritarian way of doing things where we're going to dictate to you who you're going to vote for, right? Just like they did in 2024 when they took Biden off and they replaced him with Kamala Harris. Or like in 2000 when they told Bernie Sanders to step aside and they rolled the dice with Joe Biden, right? And see what happened to that. We got 4 years of torture, right? Or in 2016, when Bernie Sanders, the first time, said, step aside, we're going to let Hillary Clinton defeat Donald Trump. We saw how that one ended up, right? President Trump won, right? The Democrats are full of you know what, right? They are about power. They're not about improving the poverty or the middle class. They use them. The Democrats use people. They use blacks. They use poverty. They use unions just to hold on to power. There is nothing about the Democrat Party that will improve the lot of our country, right? Matter of fact, I'm going to get into it in just a minute about the DSA. These people, they need to be jailed. You will see in just a minute. But let's go over what Graham Plattner was talking, or an Oyster Boy. He rose on grievance. He fell on grievance. Graham Plattner's wild ride through national politics started with a charmed fairy tale and ended with a screeching halt Wednesday night, stopped by a pile of allegations ranging from an unsavory potentially criminal. Like I said earlier, if he actually did these things, why hasn't anyone ever filed charges against him? Right? You would hope this would be a lesson to Democrats. You cannot build a political career on vibes alone. His fall came 2 days after his ex-girlfriend, Jenny Resisock, told Politico that in 2021, Plattner came to her home and forced her to have sex against her will. Following that claim, many of the high-profile names, including Bernie Sanders, Pocahontas, right, and Chucky Schumer, who had Bernie Sanders' mittens too, if you didn't know, who had backed him for the U.S. Senate race in Maine, disavowed Plattner, urging the Democrat to drop out. I guess they didn't know him as well as they thought they knew him. In an 11-minute resignation video posted on X, the 41-year-old was defiant, narcissistic, conspiratorial as he raged against the Democrat machine. First, he denied Raciot's explosive claim. I just want to make it clear that this is all false, he said in a deep Batman voice. Okay, Oyster Boy. These things they have not claimed did not happen. It is not real. Then he launched into a rant, blaming the establishment for using claims against him as an excuse to take away all the things that we need to run a campaign. We're not doing it because of these allegations, he said, of dropping out. We're doing this because of the structures that are being taken away from us by those in power. He's right. He's a man in denial. The structures were taken away because of the allegations against him, not only because of them. Yes, Oppo research is a real thing, but in this case, it wasn't even necessary. We won, Plattner said in the Democrat primary. Now they are not going to let us have it, not if it's me. Is this the grizzled Maine man or spoiled toddler who the toy was confiscated from? The left-wing progressive believes he is another victim of big politics, the kind he is trying to defeat. He got suckered into thinking that he was a leader of surging left-wing populism. In reality, he was simply an actor cast to lead it. Indeed, Plattner's rise was like a movie. It all makes sense. With no political experience, which is crazy, he was plucked from relative obscurity by Dan Moroff and Leanne Fan, and Ivy League educated scouts for the progressive movement's new face, like they're running a small-town model search. They only spent 2 weeks and $6,400 on a deep dive vetting of the Oyster Boy, and spending about 3-4 months and about $50,000, like most political agencies do. Okay, Plattner, a combat veteran, was living in Sullivan, Maine, surviving mostly off government benefits and dabbling into oyster farming. His mother was his only customer. Taken with his left-wing politics and in blue-collar costume, they called Morris Kratz, the young operative behind the New York Mayor Zohran Mamdani's campaign. The New York Times reported that the trio gassed Plattner up, telling him he was the one, the hero of the movement, and a historical figure, maybe hysterical figure, right, who could be leading a revolution according to a half a dozen sources. Plattner quickly rose to national prominence thanks to positive press and a carefully crafted Poe origin story of a hard scrabble life. Sounds like an Annie story, right? Despite having attended posh prep school Hotchkiss and buying his home with a $200,000 loan from his attorney father. The newcomer drew massive support from household names including Christian Gillibrand and Ro Khanna, and then the Pod Save American brothers fawned all over him. As Mr. Plattner rose through the winter and early spring, Mr. Katz was privately promoting him as a future presidential candidate as soon as 2028 if he won his Senate bid. All those excitable, could you imagine if he'd have been running for president? He would have got slaughtered. All those excitable supporters ignored loads of red flags, the Totenkopf Nazi tattoo, the revelations from his own wife that the married veteran had been sexting other women, the allegations from another girlfriend, Lindsay Fifield, that he locked her in a room and physically pulled her out of a car. But the wheels came off with Radcott, an avowed lefty who agreed with his politics but came forward because of his character. Meanwhile, it's unclear if the people of Maine are Beffert as an insurgent national lefties who pushed him as long as a big hope was backing in the Senate. The morning after the video broke, the Bangor Daily News most read story was not about Platter, it's about the return of female hummingbirds to their feeders. I mean, he dropped off that cliff big time, but he's still in the national news. I told y'all at the very beginning, this guy is, I can't stand him. He's a fake. He's a phony. He's a anti-veteran veteran. He's one of those disgruntled veterans that hates other veterans. For what he said about that PFC that risked his life and almost lost it defending other Army veterans is unacceptable behavior coming from a veteran. If he was in the Army and said that, I would have plastered him with a company grade Article 15, maybe a field grade. But I digress, right? I'm glad he's gone, but you got to think about one thing. He won his primary last month with 72% of the Democrat vote against whoever else was in the primary race with him. A lot of those were millennials. So my question is, are those said millennials going to continue to vote for him, or whoever the next candidate that selected by the Democrats, right? Are they going to return to the polls in November and vote for the next Democrat candidate that's not the Oyster Boy? Because a lot of them went to the ballot because of him. There's a reason why he won 72% of the vote. He's still going to get beat by Susan Collins, but he still had 72% of the vote. What the Democrats should have done was lay off the rhetoric, and Republicans are guilty of this too. They were plastering him, and I said it over and over again, leave him alone. Let the sleeping dog lie. Let him be. Let him be, because he's going to get his due course. He would have got slammed in the November election if he would have been left on the ballot. But what should have happened was the Democrats should have put, because I believe they don't have a sore loser law like they do here in Texas. Because in Texas, if you lose the primary, you're ineligible to run at all in that race. So you can't come back and run as an independent, right? Or any other party. What they should have done is gotten someone to run as an independent, like they did, like Andrew Cuomo tried to do in New York, and run against him. He lost all of his support, let him be, run as independent, and see what happens. But they were still going to get beat by Susan Collins. Susan Collins always runs negative in the polls, and when they come across the finish line, she's always up by 5, 6, 7 points. So they're going to waste all this money. I don't care. Let them waste it. We need to maintain that Senate seat. We need people to get out and vote Republican across the country. Now, I'm done with Oyster Boy. Hopefully I never have to talk about him again, but you never know, right? It's already 8:34. I got 15 minutes. There's no way I'm going to get through this. But I got to stick on this about the DSA. So check this out. I saw this morning after watching Fox News, right? They were talking about the Democrat Socialists of America. This is from their upcoming convention that they're going to have next week. They're rolling out a new policy for the convention with the DSA. Look at this. Look at this slide. This is unacceptable. They're talking about wholesale changes in the United States government. They're talking about circumventing the United States Constitution and overthrowing our government. This is unacceptable. You cannot do this, right? I'll leave it up there for a second. They want to change the capability of the Supreme Court. The justice branch, the judicial branch, is meant to part of the checks and balances of our government. You cannot replace the two-party system with a multi-party democracy through proportional representation elections. They want to do away with our three branches of the government and replace it with a parliamentarian system. That Congress runs everything like they do in England. No, there is no way. They want to do away with the Senate. They want to do away with the Electoral College and elect on popular vote. Friends, okay, I'm going to leave that slide. It's burning up my screen just looking at it. Where's that going? Oh, yeah. So you do away with the Electoral College, and all that's going to happen is people in LA, Chicago, New York, and Houston are going to elect our president. That's all. And the presidential candidates will only go to those cities. Everything over Copper's Cove, Martinsburg, West Virginia, Kansas City, Aberdeen, South Dakota, Cody, Wyoming. Guess what? Y'all be flyover towns because you will never see a single presidential candidate ever come into your vicinity ever. Everything will be flyovers. That's all. That's all. That's the purpose of the Electoral College, to ensure equal representation between the states, because we're not a country, we're a republic. We're not a democracy, we're a republic where every state has its say-so in the formation and the conduct of our country. All right? So this is some of the other stuff. I'm sorry I'm going to run out of time today, guys. I apologize. As many as this candidate's notched electoral wins nationwide, the preeminent socialist political group in the U.S., the Democrat Socialists of America, plans to roll out an updated platform that includes eliminating the Senate. That means you're gone, right? And replacing the president and the Supreme Court with an executive and judiciary chosen by Congress. That's like, I'm going to select the prime minister. No. According to a source familiar with the DSA's planning, the organization plans to roll out an update next week to its long-term vision to a U.S. policy platform. The update includes eliminating the U.S. Senate and replacing the president and Supreme Court with an executive branch and judiciary chosen by and subordinate to the Congress. Additionally, the updated platform would include amnesty for all immigrants and defunding the Department of War. This would be in addition to DSA's current platform, which calls for immediate end to deportations, free immigration between countries without restrictive immigration controls, and extending full voting rights to people with criminal convictions and non-citizens. One considered a fringe movement, the DSA has been gaining relevance, with several members toppling longtime establishment parliament figures. This was prompted by many to speculate that DSA represents the Democrat Party's future, while the DSA has endorsed AOC, Rashida Tlaib, and perhaps the most prominent member of the group, Zoran Mamdani. Mamdani, an immigrant from Uganda, burst on the national consciousness this year after it defeated Andrew Cuomo. Since Mamdani's victory, the DSA has continued to gain momentum with four of his endorsed candidates winning. That's in Colorado and the rest of them in New York, each defeating sitting Democrat members of Congress in recent months. These and other victories have emboldened the DSA, which touts itself as a working class alternative to the Democrat Party. And in recent round of primary victories, the DSA proclaimed that only socialism can solve decades of capitalist mismanagement in the U.S. The group added, our newly elected leaders will fight for the working class, not for crumbs. In addition to radically altering the country's three branches form of government, the DSA's existing platform also advocates establishing a 32-hour work week with no reduction in pay or benefits, the passage of Medicare for all, canceling all student loan debt, and elimination of cash bail and universal rent control. In its 2025-26 program, the DSA calls for new democratic constitution and says it would establish civil, political, and democratic rights based on proportional representation in a single federal legislature. That would spark another civil war. You could say, well, one's good. England's had 7 of them, all right? This would spark a war that would kill millions of Americans because me, and I know 2 of the people that are watching right now that's already commented on it, they're veterans, right? I know a lot of veterans, and we take our oaths seriously what we took to join the military. My wife is a veteran. She's as staunch and conservative as me. We take hold. We value that oath we took to protect our country and our Constitution. And I would say the Bible comes first, and then the Constitution. And I will give my life for both of them. We have a Bill of Rights that protects us from the government. And if anyone threatens our Constitution, that was, we're 250 years old. The Constitution is 238 years old, I think it is, right? Or 239 years old. You threaten that Constitution, you will get a fight on your hands that you will remember for the short lifespan you will have left in your body, because you will be gone. You will disintegrate this country, and we will fight for our Constitution to get it back. And I'm telling you, between 5 and 10 million people will die in our country in the civil war that would erupt if these insurrectionists are allowed to persist in our country. I gave 25 years of my life. I was almost killed in combat. Luckily, I wasn't wounded. I was almost taken out. I know countless friends that died for our country, for our Constitution, because that's part of our oath. To defend the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. Domestic. If you threaten our Constitution, like I said, don't poke the bear. Because when you poke the bear, you're going to get the bear. And then you won't like the bear. You'll always lose against the bear. Always. Always. These people have to be dealt with at the ballot box or in the legal system. They got to leave the scene. You cannot trust. If the Democrat Party let the DSA part of their platform, the Democrat Party needs to be dealt with also. This is unacceptable behavior by Americans. If you're an American, you should not accept not 1 ounce of what's coming from the vile lips of these people that want to destroy our country. A country I've fought for 3 different times and saw men die for our country, for our Constitution. This should not be accepted by anybody, anyone, anyhow, at all. I'm done with these guys. Oyster boy, you can fly a kite for all I care. Man. All right, what time we got? It's 8:45. Give me a second here. I want to regain my composure. The fact is that we even have to have a conversation like that. The question is, how many other people in Podcastistan is even talking about it? I live in free Podcastistan because I'm going to say what's right. And if you don't like this, you can unfriend me. I don't care. I'm going to tell you what's in my heart. And the people that are watching this know how I stand for my country and for conservative politics in our country. Oh, take my blood pressure. No, don't take my blood pressure because someone will call an ambulance right now. All right. Let's just do a piece of good news. President Trump, he got an award yesterday. So Palm Beach International Airport was renamed yesterday morning at 5 o'clock Eastern Time to President Donald J. Trump International Airport. I mentioned it's a little bit yesterday that they were going to do this. And I was like, please do not call it. Don't make the acronym for the airport TIA, thanks in advance, right? But it's going to be, the 3-letter ticker is DJT. All right. So if you're going to fly from now on, when you fly into Palm Beach, you'll be flying to DJT Airport. Okay. Donald J. Trump. All right. Which is cool. Congratulations, Mr. President, because there's other airports around the country that are named after presidents. Like 41 was named after George H.W. Bush. He used to be called Hobby Airfield, I think it was. But yeah, so presidents get named after airports. Airports get named after presidents. And he did so much for the Palm Beach area. They rewarded him by changing the name of the airport and calling it President Donald J. Trump Airport. And Eric Trump was the first. He landed in Trump Force One at 5:01 a.m. So his plane was the first plane ever to land at President Donald J. Trump Airport yesterday. Pretty cool. It's a good accolade. People probably forget about it. I don't know. But that's something else, right? Congratulations, President Trump. In the trial of Charlie Kirk, of his assassin, alleged assassin. Well, yesterday they showed the video they weren't going to show, right? And it was redacted, but they actually showed the Mr. Twiggs guy, right? His gay lover, talking about the conversations he had with Tyler Robinson about the assassination that he partaked in, right? And before I forget about the ammo, they said the bullet. You had some ATF former agents said the bullet doesn't match. It came from the gun that hit Charlie Kirk. Well, because it was a soft tip ammo, it was frangulated ammo, which changes the whole composition of the bullet when it hits its target. Frangulated ammo is made that, like in the Secret Service or a special ops team is using in an aircraft, that when it's fired, it doesn't go through the fuselage. But you can buy that ammo almost anywhere, right? But it's a soft-tipped ammo that stops after it hits, right? That's why. But they showed the text that he was exchanging with this Twiggs guy, and 5 different times he admitted that he shot and killed Charlie Kirk. His DNA is on all the bullets, the casings, the cartridge casings, and the cartridges. There was only one cartridge. There was a cartridge case because they still had the bullets and them unfired rounds. But yeah. So and the preliminary hearing is supposed to be over with today. The judge said he won't release a ruling on this preliminary case till about September 1st, a month and a half from now. I mean, you come to Texas and you do a grand jury hearing, 40 minutes, you take a vote, you got an indictment. Because they don't have a grand jury system in Utah. They do this preliminary hearing thing, right? This is the judge's first case he's ever heard, and he's going to take 45 days to make a ruling on this. Unbelievable. No, oh no. What Tyler Robinson needs to do is needs to go to the prosecutor. Well, his lawyers need to go to the prosecutors and say, let's make a deal. Because from what I heard yesterday, Mr. Robinson, he's going to be absorbing a bullet from a firing squad because they execute by firing squad in Utah, right? He's guilty. You can tell he's guilty, man. But and you know, Charlie Kirk. I mean, I admired him totally. I used to watch him all. I never got to go to a TPUSA event, but anytime I saw him on TV, I'd be watching him always, man. I just want that to be over with. Get some closure for Erica Kirk. What have we got here? 8:52. Oh, man, I got to go. I'm out of time. All right. Hey, Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals yesterday ruled that Texas and the federal government is right, and they upheld the prohibition of in-state tuition going to illegal aliens. So Texas is in the clear, and pretty much it's nationwide now, okay? Hey, I apologize, but I got to skip out. I got to take off. Thank y'all very much for tuning in today. Every one of y'all, I love y'all. Y'all are great people, okay? And I will see y'all Monday morning at 6:30 a.m. on JP's Morning Brief. Y'all have a great weekend, okay? And I'm gonna raid on over to Dan Bongino. He comes on in 8 minutes. Y'all enjoy it. I will see you later. This is James Pierce with the JP8 report. I'll catch you on the flip side. I'm out.